Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, as y'all already know, brothers, take a look up on the screen. President Joe Biden has dropped out of the race, as you can see. He said, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala Harris to be the nominee of our party this year." Kamala Harris takes over the war chest as Biden campaign becomes the Harris for President campaign. The money was raised for both Biden and Harris, and she can use it for what is now her campaign for the presidency. Kamala Harris is inheriting the tens of millions of dollars that filled Joe Biden's campaign coffers. Biden's presidential campaign formally renamed itself the Harris for President campaign, according to paperwork filed with the Federal Election Commission within hours of Biden's announcement. The change heralds transformation of Biden's campaign into an operation to support the current vice president's candidacy as Harris assumes control over the funds. As of the end of June, the campaign has $95 million. Now, in today's video, I'm going to talk about what does this mean for black men like us who have a global worldview. Our politics stretches internationally. You know, we're Pan-Africanists, we're global African hegemonists, we're global African sovereignists. What does this campaign election, what does this mean for us, right? What does a Trump administration mean for us? What does a Kamala Harris administration mean for us, right? Going forward over the next few years, what can we expect if any of these two get into office, right? On one hand, we got a white supremacist, and on the other hand, we got a mixed race woman married to a white man. So what does this mean for us, brothers? What does this mean for us? You know, what can we expect over the next few years in terms of their foreign policy towards our nations? Are we going to have more freedom and autonomy under a Kamala Harris administration, a Trump administration? Are we going to see more interventionist actions taken by a Kamala Harris administration or a Trump administration? Are we going to see any assassination attempts? Are we going to see an increased military presence on the continent? What are we going to see, right? What are we going to see? And as we know France is watching from the sidelines because the United States and France, they're like Batman and Robin. You know, they're like Batman and Robin. The United States and France, they're like Bonnie and Clyde, right? They riding together. So what can we expect in terms of their foreign policy towards the black man, right? What can we expect? Now, I'm just going to come out and say it doesn't look good, right? If Trump gets into office, it's not looking good. If Kamala Harris gets into office, it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good for a variety of reasons. Right now, at the end of the day, they're both going to protect and defend U.S. Economic interests and foreign policy interests and military interests. Absolutely. Western foreign policy. Absolutely. But they're obviously going to go about it in different ways, right? Now, how is that going to affect us, especially those of us who are supporting the march for sovereignty that we see happening on the continent? Are we going to see it derailed? Are we going to see it attacked? Are we going to see it, just taken out? What are we going to see, right? So today we're going to talk about it, man. Let's get into it. Now, one thing that stuck out to me in the article was that this campaign, the Kamala Harris, the Biden campaign, has almost $100 million in funding. So for us to understand what their objectives are going to be, we have to understand who is donating to their campaign. Who are these donors, right? Who are their supporters? Who are their financial backers? Unfortunately, we don't have that information at the moment, so we don't really understand we don't know where they stand, right? So we can only assume based on the past actions of their parties and past administrations, both Democratic and Republican. Now, as it relates to these two candidates, I believe that Donald Trump is going to get a vast majority of the white male votes, right? I also believe that he's going to get a good chunk of the white female votes. I believe he's going to get a good chunk of the Hispanic votes, a good little fraction of the Asian votes, and also some of the older voters, the old head white folks and the Christians and things like that, the more conservative traditional demographics. I believe he's going to do pretty well in those areas. When it relates to Kamala Harris, I think she's going to get a decent amount of the black vote. Obviously, I think she's going to get a good amount of the LGBT votes. She's going to get a decent chunk of the Hispanic votes, those who are pro-immigration, things like that. I think the young voters too, the college students, the individuals who identify by their gender pronouns, the swirlers, the divestors, the women in sororities. I think she's going to do extremely well in those two arenas, right? The divestors and also the women in sororities, the LGBT, a decent chunk of the black vote. So the pro-immigration Hispanic vote, and I think Trump is going to get the more conservative Hispanic vote. Now, let's try to examine a world where either one of these candidates won. What does that mean? What is their foreign policy going to look like, right? Let's say Trump gets into office, right? What is his foreign policy going to be towards the continent of Africa? Donald Trump, Mr. Them shithole countries. What is his outlook going to be on the continent of Africa? Now, first of all, I believe Trump is going to heavily decrease quote unquote foreign aid. He's going to definitely decrease foreign aid, which is to me, it's a good thing, right? To me, it's a good thing because it's going to force African nations, going to force black nations to become more self-sufficient. It's going to force them to diversify. It's going to force them to, it's going to become more self-reliant. And to be honest, foreign aid is simply used as a tool of manipulation and a tool to support corrupt regimes that support Western foreign policy, right? Typically, these regimes are heavily corrupt, but due to the fact that they support Western foreign policy, we flushed, we just, drown them in foreign aid and free money and, take this money to influence their decision-making, to pretty much buy their loyalty, right? We're pretty much buying them off. That's really what foreign aid is. So I think Trump is going to cut foreign aid by a lot, which is good because then now African governments have more autonomy, more freedom to move. They're not so tied down to Western interests because, they've been paid off by the Western powers. So I think that's a good thing. That's going to be a good thing, right? Now, even though I said that they're going to decrease foreign aid, I do believe they're going to increase military spending under a Trump administration. I believe that the military presence in Africa is going to be something that's going to be on the agenda. They're going to bring it to Trump's desk. They're going to tell him about the recent developments happening in the Sahel region of Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, things like that. They're going to tell him about the recent wave of African governments moving away from Western interests, moving away from being the traditional Western allies and looking towards different partners, alternate partners, diversifying their suppliers and their clients. And Trump, being the American nationalist that he is, he's not going to sit by and idly watch and say, oh man, the Russians and the Chinese, they over here, they doing business with the black man. I gotta get part of the action too. So he's going to want to definitely get part of the action as well. So he's going to want to, have a discussion with the brothers down in the Sahel and definitely in different nations of Africa to reinforce American foreign policy in Africa for sure. Now, how he goes about that, I don't know. Is he going to come to the table with a better deal, with a better offer, negotiate better prices and better price points and better numbers? Or is he going to come in guns blazing and just, we just going to invade militarily? We don't really know, right? So we have to wait and see. But I do believe that, yes, even though Donald Trump is going to decrease foreign aid, he's definitely going to increase the military budget, and he's definitely going to enforce American foreign policy, economic interests on the African continent by any means necessary. Not necessarily to spread democracy or spread, Western values, things like that, but more so simply for economic interest and maintain American influence in that region. That's really what it's about, right? Just for pragmatic economic reasons. That's what I think it's going to be. I believe when we examine his time in office, he actually strengthened American military presence in Africa, and he supported the so-called counterterrorism efforts. So I believe when he gets back into office, if he gets back into office, it's going to be much of the same, right? It's going to be much of the same. That's going to be on the agenda for sure. Definitely going to be on the agenda for sure, especially nations like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The Sahel is definitely going to be at the top of the agenda. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he navigates that. And it's going to be interesting to see how the brothers on the continent navigate that as well. So I'm going to be sitting back and I'm going to be watching. Now, Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris. What does it look like for us, man, if Kamala Harris gets into office, right? Gets into office. What does it look like? It's not looking good, brothers. It's not looking good. It could go either way. It could go either way. I don't know the objectives or the goals of her financial backers. Like I said, I don't know who's backing her. I don't know who's financially supporting her campaign and how they view American foreign policy in Africa. That's really going to tell us the truth, but I don't really know. I don't have that information. But I can only go off the past administrations, the past Democratic administrations and things like that. And she also visited Africa, made trips to Africa in the past couple years as vice president. So I can only go off the information that we have currently. And if we get a Kamala Harris administration, oh man, brothers, get ready. Man, they're going to lecture us about the LGBT. That's going to be definitely at the top of the agenda. She's going to come to Africa wagging her finger at the black man, telling the black man, you better have pride parades in every capital across the continent. You know what I mean? That's going to be number one. Upholding the sacred values of democracy. That's going to be number two. We must support democracy. They're definitely going to increase the foreign aid because, like I said, foreign aid is not really aid. Foreign aid is really used to influence the behaviors of administrations, make sure that they stay in line. It's basically like you're buying them off. It's like paying payola to a radio station. You're basically buying them off, right? This is the hush money over here. Take this money and do what we say. That's really what foreign aid is about. So I think they're going to increase the foreign aid. Governments that are already friendly with the West are going to become more entrenched with the West. Governments like Kenya, things like that. Kenya, Senegal, nations like those, Ivory Coast, Benin, the neo-colonial hotspots are going to become more entrenched with Western influence for sure. How's she going to react to the boys in the Sahel, them rebels in the Sahel? I don't know how she's going to react. How do you think she's going to react to them boys in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger? Is she going to have a hands-off approach? I don't think so. The Democratic Party has always been one to have a very hands-on approach, a very interventionist approach. They're the ones that authorized the assassination of Gaddafi some 10 years ago. Now, I don't give a damn about Gaddafi, to be honest. He's a North African Arab. But still, the assassination of Gaddafi led to all these little terrorist groups that you see running around the Sahel right now. That's the reason why there's a jihadist insurgency in the Sahel right now, was because of that intervention by the Western powers, the United States, France, etc., coming together to remove Gaddafi from power. That's the fact of the matter. Now, one thing I'm worried about is, due to the fact that Kamala Harris is a woman, is she going to feel inclined to reinforce her competency to show that she is the right fit for the job by being overzealous in the decision that she makes, right? Like, for example, when Hillary Clinton was under the Obama administration, she was one of the main ones who, was overzealous, was like, man, we got to go to Africa and kill Gaddafi. We got to go in there. We got to, just go in guns blazing. Right. So is she going to be the one that's going to be like a woman that's overzealous to try to prove that she's competent to, go in guns blazing, and we got to reinforce democracy and reinforce Western interests by any means and kill whoever we got to kill by any means, to show that she's right for the job? Or is she going to be more hands off and fall back and like, we don't know, right? We don't know. I don't know. But I do believe, like similar to Trump, yes, the agenda at number one is going to be to enforce Western foreign policy. Yes, it's going to be enforce Western military presence on the continent. I do believe that. Yes. Yes, I do believe the fear mongering about Russia is going to increase, right? Oh man, Russia. We got to go in and we got to counter Russia. Oh yeah, I think that a Kamala Harris administration, we're going to be hearing about Russia every 2 seconds. Russia. Oh, bro, listen, get ready for the song on repeat. Russia. Get ready, bro. Get ready. Now, I know the campaign is framing this as this is a black woman running for president and things like that, but I'm talking about foreign policy. I'm talking about how it relates to the black man internationally. I don't think she has any allegiance to the black man. She not laying up with the black man at night talking about politics. She laying up with the white man, and that white man gonna tell it, man, bomb that black man. Go in there and kill those black men. Fuck them black men. We riding for America. That's what her husband gonna be telling her. Her husband gonna tell her what? Nigga, go in there, kill Ibrahim Traore. Nigga, kill Assimi Goïta. Kill General Chiani. That's what and she gonna be like, yes, baby, we gonna, say no more. So that's what I'm worried about, right? That's what I'm worried about. Like I said, man, when it comes to foreign policy, both sides of the aisle, they have a lot of similarities. Like I said, both are gonna be enforcing Western economic policy, Western foreign policy, Western military presence, counterterrorism efforts, things like that, right? That's what it's going to be, right? Countering Russia and China. That's what it's going to be about for them. And it's really going to be on how African governments are going to navigate that. Now, a Trump administration is going to mean less foreign aid. I do believe that Trump is definitely going to be cutting back on the foreign aid spending. And for the governments that are typically in the pockets of the West that love, getting that money in foreign aid and putting it in their bank accounts overseas, it's going to be less money to embezzle, so hey, that's one good thing. And also, it's going to be more autonomy, more freedom, because you're not going to be tied down by being paid off. Now, if Kamala Harris gets in office, I believe it's going to be more foreign aid. It's going to be more conditions. It's going to be more LGBT propaganda. It's going to be more democratic propaganda. It's going to spread democracy, things like that. It's going to be more military presence. It's going to be more military intervention. That's what I think. Right? So either way it goes, it's kind of going to be, very similar in each one. Just some slight nuances in each. But like I said, can't really expect much, man. On one side, you got a white supremacist, and then on another side, you got a mixed race woman, a so-called black woman laying up with a white man. So at the end of the day, the black man internationally, we don't really have we don't have a dog in this fight, man. We don't really have a dog in this fight. Either way it go, we got to handle our business, right? Whatever hand we get dealt, whatever card we get dealt, we got to handle our business and just take it how it goes, man. We got to take it how it goes. They're gonna be protecting American economic foreign policy, and we got to protect our interests as black men. That's it and that's all, man. That's it and that's all. Whoever is president, it don't matter. We got to protect our interests as black men internationally. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm going to be sitting back. I'm going to be watching. I see y'all, election season. Anyways, man, it's your boy Nevercari the Saleh back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash app in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.
No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders. You know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wife, yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. gave her my word and it's bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city they loving me. Standing alone I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting and still in reach. They try to make sure that we underneath. Trying to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake, but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress, I've been gated weight. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had to stay down, but I'm never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drop a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traitors, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word and it's bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news.